Bisa Dinti, aku kayaknya punya kuota conference. Cek sound.
Well, good afternoon all.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
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 Afternoon. Afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Muhammad Bakri present.
Good afternoon.
Halo. Suaranya nggak ada, Bu. Halo, suaranya nggak ada, Bu.
Baik, selamat datang partisipan workshop for Teachers Effective English Online Learning and Assessment. Sebelum kita memulai agenda workshop kita pada hari ini, perkenankan saya untuk membacakan bagaimana skenario kegiatan yang akan kita adakan pada hari ini. Sebelumnya, tanpa mengurangi rasa hormat, saya mengharapkan agar Bapak dan Ibu untuk off-kan mikrofon atau mute mikrofon yang ada pada Zoom masing-masing. Baik, pada agenda kali ini akan terdapat 3 sesi untuk masing-masing pembicara dan kami memiliki 2 pembicara. Pada sesi pertama merupakan sesi pemaparan oleh narasumber yang akan diadakan di main room Zoom meeting seperti kita berada pada kali ini. Kemudian pada sesi kedua merupakan diskusi peserta, dan pada diskusi kali ini masing-masing peserta akan dibagi menjadi beberapa kelompok diskusi dan kegiatan diskusi akan dilaksanakan pada breakout room. Kemudian pada sesi akhir merupakan sesi tanya jawab yang akan berlangsung kembali di main room dan akan dipandu langsung oleh narasumber atau pembicara. Untuk mempermudah teknis kelancaran workshop kita kali ini, kami akan mensimulasikan. Dan dalam beberapa saat breakout room akan kami tutup setelah Bapak dan Ibu otomatis sudah masuk ke breakout room tersebut. Jadi izinkan kami untuk mensimulasikan skema pembagian kelompok diskusi menuju berbagai breakout room. Kepada Bapak dan Ibu dipersilahkan untuk masuk ke breakout room terlebih dahulu, dan ketika sudah masuk ke breakout room dipersilahkan untuk kembali ke main room dengan mengklik tombol leave breakout room pada toolbar Zoom meeting yang ada di bawah. Jadi bukan leave meeting tetapi leave breakout room. Terima kasih.
Kalau pakai HP gimana? Nggak nampak.
Jika menggunakan gadget handphone tetap akan dapat masuk ke the breakout room, tetapi ini masih akan kami laksanakan. Jadi belum mulai, harap menunggu sebentar. Terima kasih.
Ya, kasih Bu.
Adanya kok meeting ya?
Assalamualaikum, maaf baru gabung. Bagaimana cara persyaratannya Ibu, data dirinya?
Untuk penamaan silahkan menggunakan nama asli masing. Aku ini di main room.
Di main room nggak nampak videonya nih Bu. Halo?
Mohon maaf, di main room memang belum ada videonya, Bapak.
Oke, siap ya. Makasih ya.
Ya, terima kasih.
Bu Karina, saya sudah kembali ke main room.
Oh ya, welcome Bu Isi.
Tadi udah ke breakout room-nya tadi udah otomatis ya oleh host ya.
Benar, untuk breakout room kami menggunakan fitur otomatis sehingga peserta tidak perlu mengklik join breakout room seperti itu. Terima
Ya.
kasih.
Nah, cuma nanti kalau leave room peserta harus diingatkan jangan ngeklik yang leave meeting. Harus leave-nya leave room. Nah, ini terus ada pilihan leave breakout room dengan leave meeting. Kalau leave meeting nanti keluar dari Zoom.
Benar Bu Isi, ini di breakout room sedang diinformasikan ulang bahwa pengembalian akses untuk menuju ke main room adalah live breakout, bukan yang live meeting seperti itu. Terima kasih Bu Isi.
Ya, ini kan kayaknya peserta juga masih ada berdatangan nih Bu Karina. Berarti nanti sebelum acara mulai diingatkan sekali lagi bahwa nanti akan ada pembagian ke breakout room secara otomatis, gitu ya, secara otomatis, dan kembalinya ke main room setelah sesi diskusi adalah secara live breakout room. Live room, terus pilihannya live room dulu, terus nanti ada pilihan live breakout room dan live meeting. Jangan pilih live meeting. Di warning untuk tidak live meeting.
Benar Ibu.
Terima kasih Ibu.
Terima kasih, akan saya sampaikan kembali.
Mau nanya nih Bu Karina, saya sudah leave breaking room, tapi tertulis saya driving mode. Nggak nampak videonya Ibu nih.
Oh begitu Bapak. Di
handphone gadget.
Oh, ini memang kami masih belum sharing video, jadi mungkin memang karena itu belum ada tampak sharing video.
Oke.
Mungkin setelah ini ketika ada sharing PPT akan tampak gitu Bapak. Terima kasih.
Ya, sama Bu Karina.
Bu Karina mau tanya, ini nggak ada daftar hadir Pak ya?
Ada Bapak, link daftar hadir akan di-share oleh panitia melalui chat di akhir acara.
Selamat sore Bu Karina.
Ya, selamat sore Bu Sinta.
Tadi untuk yang breakout room ya, itu kayaknya automatically ya. Saya ya, jadi saya tadi tahu-tahu gabung di situ muncul gambarnya Pak Christian, kemudian balik lagi ke main room, begitu.
Benar. Akan saya
You need to unmute yourself, Mbak Karina. You need to unmute yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Mikrofonnya Karina.
Hello, Pak Christian.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm okay, Bu. Yes.
I saw your picture sent to my phone.
Oh,
and there
okay.
is Starbucks over there.
Okay.
Bu Pasca, close up-nya kegedean. Mukanya nggak nampak semua. Terlalu maju mungkin.
Terlalu semangat, Bu.
Kameranya jangan dicium.
Selamat siang Bapak Ibu. Prof Isi, selamat siang.
Siang.
Saya dari tadi gabung tapi agak kesulitan ini.
Siang. Menjelang sore di Balikpapan.
Aduh,
ya.
Dari Balikpapan ini.
Baik, Palu sudah sore.
Oh, udah ada yang sore juga nih ya. Dari mana ini?
Di Palu.
Oh, di Palu. Oh, selamat datang di Semarang.
Ya. 3 sore di Palu sekarang.
Iya.
Oh, ini dari Palu juga. Ini malah fasilitatornya dari Argentina ini.
Well, don't cry for me, Argentina.
Baik Bapak Ibu hadirin, akan saya sampaikan dalam bahasa Indonesia untuk meminimalisir adanya kesalahpahaman bahwa agenda kali ini akan mula di main room, kemudian breakout room kami menggunakan sistematika otomatis sehingga Bapak Ibu tidak perlu mengklik join breakout room seperti itu. Kemudian setelah diskusi di breakout room selesai, mohon untuk kembali ke main room untuk acara question and answer, dan mohon untuk mengklik leave breakout. Jadi bukan leave meeting, karena ketika kita akan mengklik leave meeting, apa yang terjadi adalah kita akan meninggalkan agenda workshop ini. Tetapi mohon untuk leave breakout room seperti itu. Dan sebagai catatan, peserta diharap untuk mengingat nomor breakout room ketika sesi breakout room yang pertama untuk akhirnya nanti digunakan di sesi breakout room yang kedua seperti itu. Terima kasih. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get on to our business, please welcome Ibu Pasca Kalisa for the welcoming notes to our honorable participant. For Ibu Pasca Kalisa, the time is yours.
Hello, yeah, good afternoon everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
Bapak Ibu, so welcome our distinguished speakers, Erica Blanche from British Council. Hello, Erica. Yeah, good afternoon everybody. Assalamualaikum.
You can.
Yeah, and welcome Pak Christian Pugo from Pearson, Indonesia.
Hello, Bu. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, so welcome everybody for our event today, that is workshop for teachers, effective online learning and assessment, Wednesday. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Bapak Ibu, I'm really glad to have you here today joining our workshop. So hopefully you'll enjoy the workshop today. Thank you very much, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The Honorable Dr. Widianto as our head of English department, and then the distinguished speaker, Erica Belas, assessment consultant of British Council Indonesia, and also Bapak Christian Puguh, K2 Educator Manager Person Indonesia, and all participants. Welcome to our workshop today on Workshop for Teacher, Effective English Online Learning and Assessment, October 28, 2020, with me, Karina Hanum, as the Master of Ceremony for this session. This workshop is clearly free of charge and be held only for the sake of academic purposes. That's why I'm just feeling, actually, it is an honor, Gigi, for me to be the Master of Ceremony here. And I would like to deliver that we are proudly present the honorable participants from all over Indonesia and also international participants, such as from Sumatra, Kepulauan Riau, Jawa, Madura, Bali, Sulawesi, Kepulauan Maluku, Halmahera, Nusa Tenggara, Pulau Timor, Papua, Nigeria, and Philippines. This workshop is attended approximately 1,650 participants, both in Zoom meeting or even on YouTube live streaming. Towards our workshop today, as we know that the rapid spread COVID-19 virus or pandemic has bring impact to our lives, especially on our educational realm, something like that. And sudden shift from face-to-face learning activity toward the distant learning activity or online learning activity brings so much impact towards our life, especially as teacher or educator. And I would like to add my perspective or a thought about this phenomenon actually that we found it is actually in fact that the access barriers towards internet access or connectivity in all over Indonesia and the lack of ICT skills both in teachers or even students becoming a challenges in Indonesia right now, and we are still struggling toward this. That's why this discussion has really a big significant relevance toward our issue right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would hope that you can enjoy the discussion. But before we get on to the agenda, let me read the house rules. And I would like to, you may take a look at the PPT that the committee have shared, but I would like to read the house rule in Indonesia. Beberapa aturan yang perlu di-followed. Jurusan Bahasa dan Sastra Inggris UNES merekam seluruh sesi workshop. Dengan mengikuti sesi ini, peserta menyetujui apabila gambar serta komentar-komentar yang direkam akan disiarkan kembali, baik itu secara record maupun rebroadcasted. Selama sesi pembukaan, peserta diharapkan untuk mematikan mikrofon dan boleh menyalakan video maupun tidak. Pertanyaan dapat diajukan langsung saat sesi tanya jawab dengan menggunakan tombol raise hand yang ada di bawah kolom partisipan atau di dalam toolbar. Kemudian silakan tulis pertanyaan di kolom chat di Zoom dan YouTube dengan menuliskan nama, organisasi, kota, dan pertanyaannya. Moderator akan merangkum dan menyampaikan pertanyaan pada pembicara dan harap menyampaikan pertanyaan secara straightforward tanpa berbasa-basi. Kemudian kolom chat hanya digunakan untuk menuliskan pertanyaan. Tidak diperkenakan menyatakan hadir, menyimak, ataupun komentar yang lainnya demi kemudahan menyortir pertanyaan itu sendiri. Setelah sesi berakhir, Anda akan diarahkan untuk mengisi formulir kehadiran, sehingga para partisipan diharapkan untuk tetap stay di workshop ini. Mohon pastikan Anda menuliskan nama dan email yang benar. Sertifikat akan dikirimkan melalui email yang Anda tulis dalam formulir. Kami tidak melayani penggantian atau pengeditan sertifikat. Terima kasih. Dan untuk tautan mengunduh materi tersedia pada link setelah Anda mengisi formulir kehadiran. Well, ladies and gentlemen, singing our national anthem, Indonesia Raya, please stand up.
Stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, here I present to you the head of English department, Dr. Widianto, to give the speech and also officially open this workshop. For Dr. Widianto, the time is yours.
Yang kucing.
Pak Widi, please unmute yourself.
Pak Widi, please unmute yourself
Siap,
first.
oke.
Thank you.
Ya, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat sore, selamat salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. To Erika Palas from British Council and Bapak Christian Puku from Pearson, Indonesia. Welcome to our very special agenda for teachers. This is kind of one of our activity that serve as our for the teachers in Indonesia. And this is, I think, the third one for workshop for teachers, and we have had in the 2018, 2019, and we have had so many feedback, so that we have it in online, especially because of the pandemic era. This is fortunate and also unfortunate in the sense that from the participant we have reached up to almost 1,000, and this is very much improvement, because we usually have only just 200 or 300 when we are doing in on campus. Ms. Bellas and Mr. Puku, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to come to UNES and for the time you have given us, especially for sharing the very interesting topics, especially for assessment and others. And also Prof. Isi Yudasi, our colleague here, as the supporter and promoter, especially for this occasion. I also would like to thank to Ibu Pascakalisa, my colleague, Bro, for this special activities. Ibu Pasa has prepared all the things for having this material, and also Bu Alif, Bu Zulfa, and all others, also Ibu Karin. And I'm so sorry that I was out of town, so that I think the internet from my hometown is not so good, but still I can join this meeting. So without further ado, I'd like to say welcome to the workshop for teachers, and have a enjoyable workshop, and have a productive day today, and good luck. As representing for Mrs. Dean, I would like to say that this workshop is officially declared officially open. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Widi, for officially opened this agenda. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get on to our business workshop for teachers. And here I would like to call Mrs. Alif Nur Farida as the moderator for today's workshop. Mrs. Alif Nur Farida, the time is yours, and please welcome.
Thank you, Ibu Karina. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome everybody to our workshop today on effective English online learning and assessment. With me, Alif, serving as the moderator for you.
Good afternoon,
Ladies and gentlemen, as we know that the rapid spread of COVID-19 disease has impacted a huge number of students around the world due to the school from home policy, which aims to flatten the curve and to maintain fatality rates. The impact on education has been many, but in a sense, there are two. First, there is a changing nature of learning in which it used to be face-to-face and direct, and now it becomes online and virtual. And now we don't have to argue why the mastery of digital technology in teaching is important. But now the more important question is how to carry out a more meaningful space for students. And today we have Mr. Christian Pugu, the K-12 Education Manager from Pearson, Indonesia, who will share about how to do online teaching more meaningfully during this pandemic. After learning, as usual, what the teachers need to do after providing the students the space to learn is to evaluate learning itself. Evaluate the learning process, because the nature of the learning itself has changed. The way to assess the students' learning also needs to change. And doing assessment or evaluation is not only about the technical procedure, how to do it, from paper-based into computerized or internet-based like Google Form and so on, but also how to do a more appropriate and meaningful assessment. For this issue, an expert on board from British Council, we are lucky to have Miss Erica Jewel Ballas from British Council today. And because Miss Ballas has another commitment to do today, we are going to have the first session with Miss Ballas. But before we proceed, for those wishing to give question, please type your question in the comment box on Zoom or YouTube and write to whom your question is addressed. Later, I will summarize and deliver the questions to the speaker. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, to start this session, we're going to have the first speaker, Erica Jewel Ballas. She will talk more about online assessment. So ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Miss Ballas.
Thank you, Ibu Alif. It's good to see you again. My name is Erica Ballas. I am an assessment solutions consultant with the British Council Global Assessment Team, and I'm based in Madrid. So for me, it is early morning, and I know for most of you, it is afternoon. I hope you have all had a very good lunch. I'm very excited to be hosted again by UNES. I had the pleasure of serving as an English language fellow at UNES for 2 years. And I'm very sad to be missing out on all of the local foods. So hopefully at the next conference, I'll be able to join you face to face and some of my favorite foods that all my colleagues know I enjoy. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. Okay. And let me just minimize this. All right. So everyone can see my screen, yeah?
Yeah, it's very clear.
Yes, it's clearly.
Thank you. I'm just going to review some of the housekeeping. I know we just had it, but with technology, sometimes we just need to repeat some of these things. So I just want to remind everyone to mute yourself when listening and unmute when speaking. There will be some interactive activities where hopefully I can have some of the teachers share the discussions in the breakout rooms. There are also some interactive surveys throughout the presentation. They are limited to the first 25 responders because it's only the free version. So if you would like to interact with those, please do so quickly. And as Alif mentioned, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. There are some sections of the presentation where I might ask people to respond in the chat box as well. So today's presentation, I'm going to introduce the principles of language assessment and review some of the CFR descriptors. We'll also talk about some considerations when adapting assessments for online assessment, and I'll share some tools for online or remote assessment. This is not a definitive guide or very detailed how-to guide, but hopefully my aim is to raise awareness about the basic underlying principles in assessment and how those are still applicable to online assessment, and things that we need to keep in mind, and also how online platforms might change some of the ways that we assess. And so kind of just raising that awareness and raising considerations. Finish the presentation with sharing some resources for language assessment from the British Council. In your handout that you should have received for my presentation, there's also a list of the links that I'll be mentioning throughout the presentation. This is by no means an exhaustive list. I know the tools that are available online for teachers today have changed quite a bit since I was a teacher myself. So I've included some of the links there, but I'm sure if you connect with other teachers, there will be many more to share with each other. Okay, so to start off, I want to review the principles of language assessment. Here's our first interactive activity. If you can go to the website polev.com/Erica-Balish013, you'll have the chance to put in how you define assessment. And this works best if you use single words rather than sentences. So I'll give a few minutes here to collect some responses.
Nggak boleh. Hafalan?
Are you able to access the poll site?
Polev.com, Erica Balance?
No, ma'am.
No,
miss, I can't. Not yet.
Bapak Ibu, you can type polev.com/Erica
Not yet.
Balance 013 on your handphone.
Still loading.
Yep.
I am
Good.
entering.
We have one
Still
coming
loading.
in.
Yeah, I can.
It says assessment and then evaluation.
Yeah. Assessment evaluation. Yeah.
I can't hear you. Lupa ke menahon.
Kalau ada
Good. Oh, assessment is amazing. Feedback, progress, complicated, measuring progress. Fantastic. Evaluation being repeated. Good. All right, let me just switch back to the PowerPoint. There we go. Good. Okay, let me just move on to the PowerPoint. Why? Sorry, I'm having trouble unsharing. There we go. Thank you very much. Oh, challenging. My controls are not working on my screen. Apologies. I don't know why my controls are not working.
Oh no.
You may disable the annotate.
I think the annotation is coming from PowerPoint.
Yeah.
No, from the Zoom features. On top of the screen, you can find annotate.
Ah. There, I think it's okay now, right? Share screen. Okay, you can see my screen now, yes?
Say something.
Yes.
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 Great. Thank you.
Yes.
So one of these are the challenges of technology. So this is the definition I have for assessment that I'd like to use throughout the presentation. So in the context of language teaching and learning, assessment refers to collecting information and making judgments about a language learner's knowledge of a language and the ability to use it. And it is this part that I want to focus on. Sorry, I've lost control of my keys also. There we go. Okay, so, and in assessment, we really want to focus on the ability to use language, not just the knowledge of a language, but also the ability to use it like we would in real life. So traditional language learning and testing, especially when I was in school many years ago, was viewed as a process of learning grammar rules and vocabulary. And to be honest, it wasn't that interesting or engaging for learners. Language tests were often seen as the learning of words. So, you had students memorizing long vocabulary lists and grammatical accuracy through grammar, vocabulary, and a lot of reading exercises. Now, in the last 20 years, there's been a shift to communicative language assessment. And so we're focusing now more on the realistic use of how we actually use language to communicate. And even before the current global situation, a lot of international exams have been moving to computer-based testing or online testing, which mirrors the way that we interact in real life. So even though the classroom environment has changed, I think Alif mentioned in her opening that also our assessment has to change as well and mirror realistic use of language as much as possible. So I just want to review some of the assessment principles as they relate to language assessment. First of all, validity. In all assessments, both online and in the classroom, our assessment tools need to be valid. So we need to make sure that we are measuring what we want to measure, and also what we need to make sure that we are measuring what we say we are measuring. We also want to make sure that the concepts taught in class are covered. We don't want to teach something if we're not going to assess it later. And we also want to make sure that we are assessing real life skills, how students are going to be using, how they do use language, or how they might be using language in the future. Something to mention in regard to validity is also choosing the right platform or the right online tool to measure language. We want to make sure that we're using the best suited tool to measure what we want to measure, not just using online tools because it's cool or has a lot of animation or games or something like that. Secondly, reliability. How can we make sure that we are measuring performance consistently from class to class, from student to student, and from teacher to teacher? We need to ask ourselves when developing these assessments, are we accounting for factors that affect reliability, like the length of time that we offer to students? Are we making sure that we ask students all the same amount of questions, that the difficulty level is appropriate, and so forth? And also, we need to constantly be thinking about how we can increase the reliability. Moving on to practicality. This takes into account time, resources, number of versions that we might have of our assessment tools. So if you are giving a quiz, especially in the new online environment, if you're doing asynchronous assessments, are you giving the same assessment on Monday and then to one group of students and then giving the same questions to a group of students on Friday? Then those students would have an advantage. So we need to keep in mind having a number of versions or a different amount of questions. Also, ease of administration. Previously, this would often be about printing tests or possibly arranging meeting times to have interviews with students for speaking tests. Now this is online, and it can take into account becoming familiar with your online platform or assessment tools. Is it easy for you as a teacher to navigate? And also, is it easy for your students to navigate as well? And also, it's important to remember to build in that preparation and test practice time. If we are going to be using specific tools for online assessment, we need to make sure that students are familiar with them and have a chance to practice on the platform before their assessment period. And lastly, impact. We need to make sure that the assessments have a positive impact on our teaching and learning. So we want the assessment to be informative for our students so that they can improve. And does it make students more aware, more autonomous, more in charge of their learning? And does it inform your teaching? So we need to make sure that the tools that we choose provide us this information as well, or at least we design activities that will elicit this type of information. So one great way to ensure that all of these core principles are met is to utilize the CFR. And I'm going to talk about the CFR for a little bit here. Again, we have another poll. I'd like to check in with you all to see how familiar are you with the CFR. Again, it's limited to 25 respondents. So if you are first, so it's first come, first serve. And we have an activity that will build on the CFR in just a moment. You can also respond in the chat box as well if you're joining from YouTube, or if you don't get a chance to get your answer in.
I cannot read in the chat box.
I don't know what is CEFR. CEFR.
Okay, so we have a few people that are unfamiliar.
CEFR is the Common European Framework of Reference. And yes, I'm not familiar. I mean, I know that I have read about it, but I haven't used the CEFR. I plan to use it as the criteria to assess my students.
That is CEFR. This is the first time to hear this term.
I have a no with the CFR. I have a no.
Okay, no worries. In your
This is my first time, I think.
My first time to
Yes,
We
yes, for
have
me,
lots.
it's the first time.
it's my first time to hear CEFR. Also, this is my first time to see CEFR. I don't know what is
My first time
CEFR.
to see CEFR.
This is the first
This
time.
is the first time for me to know what is CEFR.
Thanks,
All
no.
right,
This is
in
the
your
first time for
handout,
me to
there
know
is
language competition in the common European
I
European.
don't know about
It
CEFR.
is a new term for me.
EFR is Common
CEFR is a
European
new
Framework.
term. Yes, that's
I
right.
don't know.
First time.
Unfamiliar with
This
the
is
term
new
of
for me. I
CEFR.
have no idea about CEFR.
I don't know. I don't know about CEFR.
I've heard about it
This is
before,
the
but
first
not really
time for
understand
me.
about it.
I want to really know about it.
Thank you, everyone. I'll give you a basic introduction. I'll give you a basic introduction on the CFR. The CFR is a proficiency framework published first in 2001. It was developed by the Council of Europe to help standardize language assessment across Europe. It is designed to be used with multiple languages and has 6 proficiency levels. It is a comprehensive guide that talks about language teaching and learning. And it describes what learners have to learn to be able to communicate effectively, and what skills they need to develop and what strategies they need to develop to be able to do so. As I said, there are 6 proficiency levels. At A1 and A2, we have our basic users. The basic user is basically what you could consider a beginner user of a language. So, for example, my Bahasa Indonesia is probably about A1 or A2. I can recognize some common words that are on signs in the airport or on the street, for example, and I can take care of my
Hello, is something wrong?
There is something.
No voice?
Hello, what's
wrong?
I think it's trouble.
Yeah.
Hello.
There is no
Something wrong.
I can't hear Mrs. Bala's voice.
Maybe the connection.
Hello?
There is still no voice.
Yes, we can hear it.
No.
Still no voice. I think
There is no
voice. Thank you.
I think the connection is.
Trouble.
Hello, what's going on?
I cannot hear.
Bapak Ibu, please wait for a while. They're trying to text Erica.
Okay, Ma'am
So trouble.
Okay,
It's a
wait.
trouble.
Yes,
Okay,
wait. She has
Erica
problem with her
Something
internet
wrong,
in
maybe?
Spain. Wait.
Well, Erica says she lost internet, so we'll wait for a while. She says in the group, in the WhatsApp group, she lost internet. Bu Alif?
She's trying to join now. Wait.
Yeah.
Let's wait for a moment, Bapak Ibu.
I think.
Okay, so
Can I just fill in, Bu Alif?
Okay,
Please. Okay, while waiting for Erica, yeah, just I can just fill in things. Yeah, can I have everybody mute the the microphone, please. Yeah. So.
Hello, Mr. Christian, meet again. No.
Yeah, hello. Okay, so yeah, while waiting for Erica, so let me just fill in for a while. Okay, so basically, Erica plans to cover or to share about CFR. It's actually Common European Framework, and they have like 6 levels: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1 until C2. Okay, A1 is the lowest level, and C2 is the highest level. Okay, so usually when we have assessment, when we want to map our students, we need to see the CFR level to see where our students are, and then which assessment is suitable for them. So we can, for example, our students, they are in A1, elementary level, or in B1, pre-intermediate level, for example. We cannot give them, let's say, assessment or tests which are lower or more difficult. Okay, so it should be balanced. So if they are in B1, we need to give them B1 assessment. So when we create our assessment, we need to think. We need to know, in my opinions, the first thing that we need to know is the level of our students first. So the assessment that we want to give to the students later on, it's enough. It's challenging. It's not too difficult. It's not too overwhelming, and it's not too easy. Okay, so that's the reasons why we need to know the CFR level, because each level they have a criteria. So if you are, for example, if you are B1, okay, students should be able to writing, reading, listening, and speaking. So that's actually the functions of CFR, if I'm not mistaken. Later on, oh, Erica is coming?
Yes,
Already?
Erica is here. Yes.
Okay, so yes. So back to you, Erica.
Thank you. Alif, can you just enable the screen sharing?
Okay, wait a second. Does it work? Wait. Yes, you are now co-host. Okay.
Yes, thank you. All right. Apologies if I repeat myself. I'm not quite sure when it cut out. So B1 to B2 is the independent user. At B1, we call it an independent user. At B1, you should be able to travel to an English-speaking country, for example, and take care of all of the needs. At B1, you're more fluent, but the focus of topics might be a bit more narrow in comparison to B2. At B2, the range of topics that someone can cover are a lot more broad, and they're making fewer mistakes. They're starting to think more about abstract ideas and getting their meaning across than they are thinking about grammar and how to formulate sentences and things like that. And then we have at C1 and C2, these are our proficient speakers, okay? So at C1, we are able to handle more demanding texts, lengthy texts, possibly professional publications that are outside your field of knowledge, and also become more aware of implicit meaning and those cultural nuances as well. The CFR is a very comprehensive document. Most people are familiar with the global scales. That is a great place to start, which are the overall descriptors of proficiency levels for the 6 different levels. And in addition to that, there are also over 80 illustrative scales. So we have the global scales for A1, A2, all the way up to C2, which describe the general language proficiency. but then we also have more detailed illustrative skills that go into the different modes of communication. And then within that, it's broken down even more, which we'll see a little bit later in the presentation. So we have our first breakout activity. In your handout on page 2, please refer to activity 1 and discuss what CFR levels might be needed in the scenarios provided. There are 6 total scenarios. My understanding is that our breakout rooms are a bit large, so I'll give you roughly 10 minutes to discuss what levels might be needed for each of the scenarios. If you are not familiar with the CFR, it's okay. You can make a guess based on the introduction I've just given, or you can also refer to your handout. I believe one of the first links listed on page 1 is a link to the CFR document. All right.
Okay, Ms. Erica, I have just shared the handout in the chat box. If everyone can download it. And now it's time for the host to do breakout rooms. Okay.
Yes.
Erika, are you okay? I think she was. Yes. Yeah. Breakout now. Bapak Ibu, the handout is just shared in the chat. I just resent it.
Fantastic, thank you. And in your discussion groups, don't focus so much on getting the correct answer, but focus more on what levels might be appropriate.
Okay, Bapak Ibu, for those who just join us, we are going to have breakout rooms after this for the discussion. The handout that you're going to use for the discussion is just shared in the chat. For those who are using you're using handphone, I don't think you can see it. Okay. Excuse me, we don't have a group. Okay, for those who can join the breakout room, you can have discussion, but for others who cannot join the breakout room, you can have your own opinion on the question. But keep your answer first, yourself. You don't need to write the answer on the chat box, please. Thank you.
Have they moved to the breakout rooms already?
Not yet.
Still on the process, Erica, wait.
Okay.
I need this one.
In the meantime,
Charger. It's here.
Okay. You got the 100 activity. No, not this one.
So this is the activity that you have to do. Okay, everyone, I think you can see the screen that Erica just showed. So in the breakout room, you need to discuss this scenario.
while we're waiting for the breakout rooms, you can go ahead and have a think about the different scenarios yourself.
And I will socialization need to do the following.
Huh?
Alif, I think for time, maybe we
Okay,
can just use
Erica, maybe because we have a lot of participants, then
yes, I
we
think we
cannot
can
do the
just use
breakout room.
chat
Sorry.
box.
You can Zoom is it?
So we
Can
will
you still hear
unmute
me?
only one person. I mean, like the person who's raising hand to answer instead of the
Yes.
breakout rooms. We have
Yeah,
we have to use another scenario.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Can we start with scenario number 1? If we have any volunteers.
Host, can you unmute?
Okay, I think scenario 1, by giving presentation at a professional conference around level B2 and C1.
Okay. Any reasons why?
I think scenario 1 is belong to C2.
C2?
Yeah.
That's good. We have a few people in the chat box also saying C2 for scenario number 1. I think I would agree. I would say that when we're giving a presentation, especially at a professional conference, we can say that that is a more demanding topic area. We prepared to respond to questions from the audience as well, right? So that's all. That's definitely C1 and C2. Oh, my internet connection is unstable, so I do apologize if I get disconnected again. Moving on to scenario 2. Do we have any volunteers?
Yes, I think.
Rika, I think for scenario 2, it is belong to A1 because it is very basic communication just to order food or ask direction.
Okay.
Very good.
A1.
Anyone else in the chat box for scenario 2?
Okay. I try.
We've got one person saying A2 to B1. A2.
It belongs
Very
to
good.
B1.
We have more
B1.
people in the chat box saying
B1.
A2 as well.
Yes, I
So
think I try scenario 2 if often order to me you do if in a long distance always order some food, yeah, give a direction about located, yeah, so often do on before nowadays because it is very difficult to get
asking
food, yes, so
for
often
food
yes,
and asking directions to
yes.
your hotel.
And
Okay,
then
it's a little bit different to scenario number 4, where you're traveling to the UK on holiday and you can get by without any assistance.
Yeah, okay.
Scenario 4, I think, at the level B1 to B2.
Yep. Yep, B1 and above. At B1, you are more of an independent user, and so you are able to get by. What about scenario 3? I know a few of us are university lecturers here. Scenario 3, study at a university in which English is
C1.
used as a medium of instruction.
C1, I think it belongs to C1 maybe.
C1.
Yeah, I think C1.
Scenario C1.
Yeah, I think for scenario number 3, we need to scale C1.
I think scenario 3 belongs to C1.
For scenario 3, we can actually say that it would be a 5.5 to a 6.5. So the ranges of the CFR are actually quite broad. They're very wide. So within B2, you have a low B2 and also a high B2. So perhaps a low B2 might need some foundational courses in English before they start their subject. And a high B2 is roughly a 6.5 in IELTS. They would be able to start their study straight away. Also, another important thing to keep in mind is what subject the students are studying as well, because some subjects will be using the language more than others, of course. Yeah. Now, in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Thank you very much for everyone who shared their responses. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint now. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
clearly. Conscious that my internet connection is not very stable. So here's a quick view of the overall global scales of the CFR. And these you have access to in the handout on page 1. The CFR is a very long document, but hopefully some of the points that we raise here today will help to make it more accessible for everyone. I wonder if we have time for this. I'll go through this activity a bit more quickly than I planned, just in the interest of time. Again, here we are comparing 2 different descriptors for the global levels for A1 and B1. I want you first to look at the descriptors on the left for A1 and tell me in the chat box just quickly what kind of keywords stand out here.
Hello, we cannot hear your voice at all.
Oh no. Can you hear my voice now?
I can hear
Yes,
you.
I can hear.
I can hear.
Okay,
Yes,
I
we can hear you. So clear.
Yes.
Voice is
would like
clear.
I would like you to put the keywords from the description on the left in the chat box. We have some people saying everyday expressions. Very good.
Everyday, yes. Very basic
Daily
phrases.
You can go ahead and put them in the chat box so we can stay on mute. Personal details, personal talk, very good. For A1 learners, they're very much focused on things that are very familiar to them. Wonderful. All right, describing people. Basic phrases, yes, good. Okay, let me go ahead and show you what I've highlighted. Familiar everyday expressions, very basic, focused on concrete needs. Yep, everybody's picked up on these in the chat box as well. Fantastic. Now I want you to have a look at B1, at the B1 descriptors on the right. Simple connected text, very good. Familiar matters. So we can see that in B1, we are expanding the range of topics that we can talk about, and also we can start describing our experiences, our hopes and dreams, and briefly give reasons and explanations for these opinions and plans. Yes, very good. All right, let me just go back to the presentation now. Idea to go through and find these key words that will help you design activities. Okay, and as I mentioned before, the CFR has the global scales, and then they also have the illustrative scales. And within that, there's an overall scale for each of the modes of communication. So here's just a quick look at the overall spoken production scales. You'll notice that in some of the illustrative scales, they are separated for which I mentioned earlier. There's low B2 and a high B2. So depending on the different scale, they might do that for different for the different levels. Okay, so using the CFR for teaching and learning. How can the CFR help teachers to design language activities for their students? Again, this is both applicable online and offline. The CFR helps us target the abilities mentioned in the CFR descriptors. So for example, we might start with a CFR descriptor. Here, I've chosen the sample of overall speaking for B1, which reads, so again, what we might do is look at the key words in that descriptor and build an activity around this. So what does this look like in the classroom, whether our classroom is face-to-face in person or online? So reasonably fluently means some hesitations and breakdowns, but we can still understand what the student is saying. We can understand their message. So it's not affecting the communication too much, right? Within their field of interest. So for students, this is probably going to be more about what subjects they are studying in school, the things they do with friends, hobbies, favorite subjects, possibly things related to family, etc. It's going to be linear in nature, so having a clear beginning, middle, and end, a very straightforward description, using connectives like firstly, secondly, and finally, very basic types of connectives. And as I said, it's a straightforward description. So using simple language, like it was a very interesting day. I liked it very much. So this will help one where students make the same speech 3 different times to 3 different partners. You can kind of think of it as a waterfall or a cascade. The first speech should be 3 minutes long, the second 2 minutes, and the third speech, they will do it for 1 minute. Each time they're improving and getting feedback from their partner. They choose their own topic, so it's within their field of interest. This is an easily adaptable activity. If you want to kick it up a notch to a B2, you could choose the topics for your students, possibly something a bit more outside of their familiar. They can make notes of connectives they'd like to use for the linear sequence of points. Perhaps this might be a language point that you've taught earlier in the class. And the teacher could instruct the listener to deduct 1 point for each breakdown or hesitation, or the teacher can do this themselves. But I'll talk about a more peer assessment in a little bit. So you could, and then the teacher could also change what students are listening for, whether they're listening for vocabulary topics or breakdowns in fluency. Becomes more targeted. We're focusing on the skills that are represented by the CFR levels, and it makes it easier for teachers to design tasks and adapt materials to help students reach that next level. If their level is A2, the activities we're designing should be aiming towards that B1. And if their level is B2, the activities would be aiming for C1. So now I'm going to move on to adapting these activities for online use. So some considerations to keep in mind when we are moving our classes and our assessments online. They can take place either synchronously in real time or asynchronously, not in real time. Both of these have some advantages and challenges, which I'll talk about. But we need to, what we want to do is when we design these activities, we need to make sure that we are eliciting enough language production so that we can assess our students properly. And with all assessments, we want to be able to provide our students with very detailed and specific feedback on what they did well and areas for improvement as well. So let's first talk about synchronous in real time. For synchronous activities, the students and teachers are able to interact like we are now on Zoom. There are fewer opportunities for cheating because it's happening in real time, of course. It's a bit more adaptive, a bit more like the traditional classroom where you're seeing your students face to face and can be more interactive. You can have your students raising their hands, you can call on them, and you can do more interactive things like breakout rooms and so on. It might be more technically challenging to do synchronous activities as we've witnessed today. There are a lot of issues around connectivity. First of all, yeah, just the connectivity alone, but then also using new platforms or new tools. It is a bit of a learning curve for some teachers and also for students. So we need to take that into consideration and be able to build in that time. And then we also have asynchronous as do their work and then send it in, or if they are scheduling a speaking session with a teacher, for example, they're able to make sure they have enough credit on their handphones, or they can choose a time where they can go to a cafe or campus where they have free Wi-Fi. They can also be more in control over the noise level or their own work, study schedules, work schedules, noise, and overall convenience, basically. Students can also go at their own pace. So here it's also important to communicate to students how they're going to be assessed, also deadlines, and make sure that we're checking in with them before the final assessment. And one drawback is that teachers have less control over the process. They have less control over the process overall, but I would also say an advantage of the synchronous option and having Zoom breakout rooms is that teachers have more control over those small groups. You know, sometimes if you do small group activities in the classroom, you'll get one student A trailing over to a different group and talking with their friends, whereas in Zoom, to think about when we are adapting these activities for online use is that there is no best way to assess. It's all about making choices. And this is why it's important to keep in mind those language assessment principles and to make sure that we're still achieving those. So there is no best way. There's what we want to do is focus on having valid and reliable and also practical assessment tools that we're using that have good impact. There are wrong ways, for example, doing an multiple choice question test for a speaking assessment would not be valid. But don't worry so much about whether or not it's the best method that you're using. Having a variety of tasks helps as well. It helps to keep students engaged and motivated, and helps also you as the teacher collect as much information as possible. You'll want to check what resources you have available for your materials and become very familiar with them, keeping in mind what students do or will need to do in real life. It's also important to share the assessment criteria with learners so that they First, we're going to talk about productive skill considerations for online assessment. Okay, so first, for the synchronous options, we have one-on-one interviews or small group discussions using either Zoom or another video conferencing platform like WhatsApp or Facebook. One advantage here is it's still time consuming, but using technology might facilitate making that a bit easier for us. Also, you can do questions and answers. Now, this is a bit more limited. Perhaps in classes, you do this more as a warming activity, but when it comes to assessment, we can still use question and answers to focus more on specific points like vocabulary or grammar functions. And then also we have short talks for synchronous as well. For asynchronous, this has become easier than ever. So I remember when I was teaching, I had students create videos or audio file responses to a those tools in the next slides. One disadvantage I do want to mention here is that recorded samples, the one major drawback here is that we lose that spontaneity of language production. However, I would say that in a way, it still mirrors real life, as when we're giving a presentation, we often do prepare in advance, similar to these audio or recorded responses. One thing that you could do is require students to give recorded responses and then have a follow-up session afterwards. And that might help as well, get some of that spontaneity back. So some of the elements to be assessed when we are looking at speaking, if you just want to quickly, very quickly in the chat box, because I know we are short on time. Can we share what kind of elements are we looking at when we are assessing speaking? There we go. There they come so quickly. Accuracy, pronunciation, diction, intonation, fluency. A lot of pronunciation. I think a lot of teachers here are worried about pronunciation, fluency, intonation, word choice, grammar rules. Fantastic. Thank you. All right. Yes. So there are a number of things that we're looking at when we are assessing speaking, vocabulary, whether they're using topic appropriate vocabulary. We can also look at discourse management. A lot of people mentioned pronunciation and fluency, mediation, interaction, grammar and structure, and also global achievement. Are they answering the prompt that is given to them? So what element of speaking that we want to target will affect what activity and also what CFR descriptors are best suited for creating the assessment activity. So again, I want to bring in for summative assessment, I would often use one-to-one interviews or small group discussions. And I would use public band descriptors from international tests such as IELTS, APTIS, or Cambridge, which are great because they're available online and you don't have to create your own rubric. But you might also want to consider when you're doing activities, like if you're teaching public speaking, for example, there are specific skills for addressing audiences, giving a sustained monologue, for example, or putting a case. And those kinds of specific things are not addressed in those public brand descriptors. So it's definitely worth checking out the illustrative scales and what's available, so you can make them more specific to your tasks. Now, some online tools that I'd like to share for speaking. I'm sure that you all have many more tools that you can also share in the chat box as well. One I'd like to talk about is Wordwall.net, which has a lot of different activities to gamify or make online activities short questions or speech topics, and you can have students spin it to get a random topic. You can also use this with young learners. For example, in the image, it has following directions, and it has simple directions like nod your head and clap your hands 3 times. And you can adapt it by using more advanced speaking prompts in there as well. So for example, you could easily put in IELTS Part 2 speaking topics or Cambridge KET Part 1 questions in there. And you can also use it in breakout rooms. Voice Spice is a recording tool online. There are a number of these available. So you can record and send audio files. Flipgrid is another option that looks really, really fun and engaging for speaking and assessing speaking. I haven't used it myself, but the video, it looks like TikTok, I don't know how many people are familiar with TikTok, but it basically has a social media approach to the sharing of video files. So the teacher can make a topic, send it out to students, and the students can record their video. They can check it before they submit it. And then the teacher can also send feedback directly to the student privately. So it's easier now than ever to send these files back and forth. Also, I don't want to neglect, our traditional technology, video conferencing platforms such as Zoom that we're using now, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangouts, and also WhatsApp and Facebook. You can adapt a lot of activities just for regular video conferencing. And here's that. Mm-hmm.
You have only 5 minutes left to present your information.
Oh no. Okay. Okay, I'll try to go as fast as possible. Okay. So we'll skip our activity 2, but I do encourage you to try activity 2 on your own. Just showing you the activity that we looked at earlier that was initially designed for the classroom. You can easily adapt that activity for a platform like Zoom. So you can do that either with small groups, or you can do it in breakout rooms if you have a number of different topics for students. And then the great thing about the breakout rooms, which I'm sorry we didn't get to see today, is that the teacher can walk around and monitor progress in the different breakout rooms, which is pretty great. And it makes adapting speaking activities very, well, easier than it would be. So this is the second activity, which unfortunately we're going to skip, but you do have it in your handout. So I do encourage you to look at it with your fellow teachers if you have free time later. That's the activity. I'll just mention briefly online writing. So for synchronous options, we have either writing or typing in class, timed writing exercises, doing draft exchanges in class, and platforms like Google Docs are very helpful for this. And in a way, I think technology makes that much easier to encourage peer assessment. In asynchronous, it's not that much different to in-person classroom learning. So writing or typing something at home and then sharing those documents with teachers online later. Okay, I'll skip this. I was going to ask everyone for what types of elements we might be looking at when assessing writing, but I'll just quickly go through content, for example, how well somebody has achieved the task or task achievement, task response, the overall organization of a writing, accuracy, so that could take into account is the response appropriate for the task. I'll try to go through these very quickly. So again, we need to choose what we're going to focus on, and that will help us decide what are the best platforms and what are the best CFR descriptors to use to develop our activities. How can we give meaningful and motivating feedback? The CFR descriptors help us give meaningful feedback, very specific feedback to how students are performing. And I don't think I mentioned early on, but the CFR, the descriptors are written as can-do statements. They focus on what students can do at specific levels, not what they should be able to do. So that's more motivating as well. With writing, there's always a balance of how much we should correct. I like to focus on one aspect at a time and possibly even including peer assessment. So if students are exchanging papers through something like Google Doc, for example, I'll have students focus on grammar and spelling and some of those more tedious kind of tasks to help alleviate CFR descriptors. So again, going back to making sure that we use clear descriptors that are specific and detailed, and making sure that we're measuring skills relevant to daily life. I've already mentioned the Google Docs and collaborative editing. I know that myself, I do not use Google Docs to its full potential. And so I do encourage teachers to spend some time with it to see how creative they can be. There are a lot of different resources online to help us to do this. Receptive skills considerations with online reading, we're a bit challenged because in real time, we're a bit limited to short texts. We might be using reading online for more instructional purposes or small reading groups. And asynchronously, we're able to use longer texts for possibly practice and assessment. You can also give students the text before class and then have a longer discussion around it. It's important to be aware that there are two types of reading, so careful, linear, and slow reading, which we need to be aware of and whether we allow enough time for that. And as we're moving up to the higher levels of the CFR, we're also an important issue here as well. Online listening, we've been doing this for a while, so there's not too much change there, but you can play audio video files online or teacher read alouds. There are a number of links to websites that have existing platforms, which I will show you in a moment. And again, it's important to keep in mind when you're designing these listening activities, are you going to have your students listen for specific information, for gist, or for detail? If you're doing a synchronous listening task, we need to make sure that the audio file is appropriate for the level, how much time is allowed, and how many times you're actually going to play that audio file as well. Again, there are too many tools out there these days to list all of them, but these are included in your handout as well. There's just a few I want to mention. The first being lo.org, because there are a number of different accents available there. And I find it's very important to expose our students to a range of accents. And breakingnewsenglish.com is one of the most comprehensive resources that I've come across. Breaking News English has lessons with reading. There are different speeds for the different lessons, so that you can get those, so that you can target the skimming and scanning skills as well. I will skip this, I'm very sorry, and then I'll try to wrap up now. So to wrap up today's session, you want to make sure that you're using can-do statements in your assessments and using the CFR to support that, thinking about what students can do at specific levels and making sure that the criteria is aligned to the CFR. You want to also keep in mind what you are assessing, what you are targeting, and why you're assessing that to help you choose the tool best suited, and also help you select the best CFR descriptors. And we also want to keep in mind the principles of language assessment. You might have a really cool online tool, but it requires a subscription service, which is expensive and not affordable, or there might be a really great free resource, but it takes ages to learn and you just don't have the time. So we need to keep in mind those principles of language assessment. So take some time and explore and familiarize yourself with different.
Okay. Is Bellis?
With that you can put your activities on. And it's just important to keep in mind how the online environment is going to change the activities overall. And I just want to finish with two resources to share with all the teachers out there. The British Council has a language assessment MOOC It starts November 16th. This is a free course available on FutureLearn. It starts November 16th, and it goes over all the principles of language assessment. And lastly, the British Council also has these free resources available online. There are videos for different areas of assessment, test development, and that come along with different workbooks and so forth. And with that, I think I've gone over the time. I'm very sorry, and I apologize for the bad internet connection as well, and that we weren't able to use the breakout rooms.
Okay, Erica, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Let me just stop sharing.
Yeah. Erica, maybe we have learned about CFR when you are doing IELTS tests or you are learning IELTS tests. Okay, Erica, there are some questions for you. I have chosen the easiest one. Okay, the first question from Ibu Imanursita, is there a diagnostic test specifically designed to put students into particular level?
There are a number of different assessment tools that use the CFR as the basis for their assessment. One thing I think that is also really great about the CFR is they have the self-assessment grid. So even myself as a learner, I can use the self-assessment grid as a form of checklist. Like, yes, I can do this and I can do this. I wasn't able to get to it in the presentation, but I think that self-assessment is also very, very important, and peer assessment is very important. Once we're getting up to those higher levels of the CFR, like B1 and above, we're looking at the ability to monitor and repair our own language as well. So the sooner that you can get students using those skills, the better.
Okay, thank you. The next question.
May I ask, ma'am?
We are at, I'm reading the questions coming from the chat box. Do you think that CFR can be implemented to all stages of education, including young learners in a class of 30?
That is a fantastic question. The CFR, when the CFR was published first in 2001, it took a new approach to language learning. So the CFR just describes language ability at these proficiency levels. It is not linked to specific ages. So it is suitable for a wide range of ages, including young learners, but also adults. So before, you know, if you had a beginner, maybe it was grade 1 or something like that. But myself, even as an adult, if I'm studying a new language, I would be an A1 learner. It just focuses on the descriptions of what someone can do at that level, regardless of their year in school, for example. But yes, it is applicable to young learners and groups of 30.
Okay, thank you. There was someone wants to ask question directly. Who is that?
Yes. Can I ask something?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, please.
Not sure.
Who is that? Oh, wait. I cannot see you.
Well, let me tell you, I'm Maria Sepnyawati Hulu from Nias Island. It's a part of North Sumatra province. And I'm very happy to listen your explanation just now. So which one is the first or the main program that we focusing in teaching for grammar or giving expressions or utterance? Because between utterance and grammar and vocabulary and all other kinds of skills in English can't be separated. So what are the main? Yeah. So in especially in teaching in daring now, I mean using online. So what's the best method in using utterance for teaching the students in the school? Thank you. I think that's all. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for your question. I don't think that there's any one best method, but I do think grammar is an integral part of language and communication. So even though the CFR focuses very much on communicative competence, it depends on what activity you have designed. You can design activities that focus more so on grammar than other aspects of communication, for example. And the CFR has specific descriptors for grammar use, grammatical accuracy, grammatical range, as well as the same for vocabulary and lexical resource as well. There's also a supporting document. Apologies, I didn't mention it, and I don't think I included it. To specific grammar structures at the various levels, right? So we need additional documents to help identify what language structures and what vocabulary topics are most common at those CFR levels.
Okay, thank you, Erica. One more question from Mr. Ajab. Would you please unmute yourself? Mr. Ajab, you want to ask question directly? Okay, he's not here. Okay, itu Pak Ibu Asih. Fatima Faida Apriliana. One more question. Enggak ada. Okay, I think. Okay, Iman Nursita, please ask question. Unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Ibu Alif, for the opportunity. Hello, Erica. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Before you mentioned about giving question, which is one level higher compared to the student's current level. I was wondering if it is the right thing to do because, you know, what the students learn in classroom is the materials which is on their level. And now we are giving question or assessment which is higher, which is targeting the higher level. What do you think about this?
Sorry, can you repeat the first part of your question? I think the connection cut out.
All right. If I get it right, before you mentioned that the question we give to our students is higher, is one level higher compared to their current level. Do you think it's a good idea because the students have been learning whatever materials which are on their level?
Yes, so when we're designing activities, we want to push students to the next level. We know what level they are, but we want to help them get to that next level. Understanding the descriptors in the CFR are going to help you to do that in a approachable way for students that is not intimidating, right? And so you can also blend different descriptors. So you can combine assessment criteria from, for example, if you have students that are A2 and they are moving into B1, you can have some assessment criteria from the A2 level, from the higher end of A2, and also from the lower level of B1 to kind of ease them into that transition. You don't need to limit yourself only to B1 in that situation. I'm sorry, I think that's all the questions I can take today because I have another commitment. But if there are more questions, perhaps Ibu Alif can collate them and send them to me via email, and I'll try to respond that way. I know there were a lot of technology issues.
Okay, Erica, thank you so much for the presentation and also answering the question. We're glad that we learned something new, that CFR can be applied in Indonesia for all levels and for all skills. Thank you so much. And that's nice to have you now. See you next
Thank
time.
you very much.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay, Bapak Ibu, now we're going to have the next speaker. In this session, I'd like to invite Mr. Christian Pugu. He will be talking about online learning. So without further ado, please welcome Mr. Pugu.
Yeah, thank you, Bu Alif. Okay, everybody, before we start, okay, so I'd like to highlight something first, okay. First, don't worry about the link for your absences and then the materials and so on, yeah, because again, you're gonna get it after the event, after the presentations. You're gonna get all the link and so on. Okay, so let's use the chat box or chat room to explore things. Okay, so that's the first one. Second, I'm going to bring you to a learning journey. So I need you to pay attention from beginning until the end. Okay, because I'm going to wrap up things. I'm going to ask you to have reflections what we've done from the beginning until the end. So I need your attentions. Okay, should you have any things to do, please do it now. I give you time. Okay, but we're gonna go through learning journeys from one step to another steps, because by the end of the sessions, basically, we need you're gonna learn the 5-stage models to have effective online learning. Okay, and I want to bring you guys experiencing step by step. Yeah, so again, don't worry about the absences, the link and the materials. We're gonna give you the link and the what do you call the materials after the sessions. Okay, now, so let's start. I'm gonna share things. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Sir.
Good. Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
sir. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
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 Okay.
You need to unmute.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. So.
Yes.
Oh my God.
What's happening?
Again, I think one of the things that we need to highlight is also there's a new soft skills that we want to that is also we need to learn. Okay, so we call it tele-empathy. It's a new soft skills. So basically, everybody has problem with the connections. Everybody has got things to do. Okay, but we need to have the empathy for those kind of things. Okay, but again, I try my best to bring you guys into the learning experience. Okay, so the first activity. Remember, I'm gonna bring you to learning journey. So from the first activity until the end, that's gonna be actually series of series of stages. Okay, so the first activity, if you know the answer, okay, so we're gonna play Aan says. Okay, listen carefully. So Aan says, turn your camera on. Everybody, turn your camera on. Excellent. Everybody, turn your camera on. Okay, good. Now,
Turn your camera on.
Yes. The second one, unmute yourself and greet your new friends on your right, on your left, above, and below. Say hi again.
Hi, hello everyone.
Bu Beni.
Excellent. Excellent.
Miss Mbak Arifin.
Yes.
Halo, Tia Dewi Diasi.
Hello,
Hello, Winnie Seven. Hello, moderator Ali.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Stop. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna add another rules. Shh. Listen. I'm gonna add another rules. Okay. If I clap my hands, you need to stop saying anything. Okay. Again, if I clap my hands, what will you do?
Okay. Anything.
Say nothing and listen. Good. Okay.
Oh, talking anything.
Hello, my name is I am a headmaster. Elementary school.
It is so crowded.
Yes.
Only the clap without voice.
Clap without voice.
Okay. I want you to rename your name. Listen.
Yes. There's not someone. Yes.
Okay. Rename your. Okay. I need you to rename your name with positive adjective. Examples. My name is Aan or Christian, and then I'm gonna rename myself with cool Christian. Positive adjective.
Good name.
Okay, and then you need to rename yourself now. Rename yourself.
My name is Gusti.
Okay, my name is
Madi Putra.
Hello, my name is called Rahma.
My name is Gita.
My name Hi, my name is Dennis.
Yes. Oh, good.
Why not one by one? Yeah.
Stop.
It's so crowded.
Okay.
It's better if you call one by one, so
Yes,
it's not
one by
very noisy
one.
like this. Hello, I'm HINDRI.
I think we should rename all the participants, not to mention it.
My name is Indri. Hello. Hello. My name is Indri. HINDRI.
Stop. Okay. The first stage, the reasons why I asked you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because I want to check whether you know how to use Zoom or not. Okay. Apparently, most of you are not familiar using Zoom. Okay. When I say rename, When I say rename, you can change the name and type your name. You don't need to tell me.
I've done it.
Yes, good. So again,
What is the question? Please once again. I don't listen.
okay. Bu Afi, can you unmute everybody?
Answer.
We cannot unmute everybody.
Okay. Listen. The first stage of effective online teaching is to make sure that okay.
Unmute or mute?
Mute yourself. Mute yourself.
Mute,
okay.
mute, not unmute, mute.
The first stage of effective online teaching is to make sure that everybody know how to use the platform that you use. I'm using Zoom at the moment. That's the reasons I give you instructions to make sure that you know how to use it. Okay. If you want to use WhatsApp, fine. If you want to use Telegram, okay.
I'm sorry. Please mute your mic all.
Okay. I know that.
I think we must use body language.
Okay. So again.
We make the body language to give information.
Okay. Again, one more time.
Instruction, we make body language.
Okay. Okay. Listen first. Listen. Take turns.
Paan, please unmute yourself first.
Yes.
Sorry. Thank you.
I know that I know that some of you I also need to take care of your kids and so on. Okay, so we need to take turns. Yeah, my turn first. The first step that I did with you guys, I just want to check whether you are familiar with Zoom or not, because the platform that we use is Zoom. Okay, the same things. If you want to use WhatsApp, no problem. If you want to use Telegram, okay. If you want to use Meet or whatever it is, fine. But make sure that everybody knows how to use it. Not only the students, but also the teachers. Okay, because we need to master the platform that we are going to use. We need to be able to maximize the platform that we need to use later on. So that's the reasons why I ask you to turn your camera on, unmute yourself, rename your name, okay? And then give a clap. Do you know how to give a clap? Okay, yes, good, Budwi, that's gonna be directly, but can you give virtual clap using the Zoom? Excellent, gorgeous Lisa. Yes, okay. So what you can you find reactions? You can click the reactions and then you can choose the clap. Okay, now the same things. Can you give a thumb? Using Zoom, can you give a thumb? Go to reactions. Excellent. Good. Good. Yes. Thank you, Ika. So you have. Yes. Thank you, Lisa. Excellent. So you have some features that you can use to have engagement with the students. The most problem that we always have when we do it online is how to build engagement, how to get positive experience starting in the beginning. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do, the first layer, the first stage is we need to be familiar with the platform we use. Can you type in the chat box and answer the questions? Are you ready? Use the chat box, type it. Are you ready? Yes or no? Can you type there the answers? Everybody, type in the chat box. Okay, answer the questions. Are you ready? Excellent, good. Yeah, excellent. Yes, thank you very much. Well done. Again, the first layer. Okay, now, are you guys, do you have Facebook? Give a thumb if you have it. Give a thumb if you have it. Do you have a Facebook? Give a thumb if you have it. Do you have Facebook? Good, Merliana. Good. You're following my instructions. Again, the instruction is, listen carefully. Listen carefully. The instruction is, okay, do you have Facebook? If it is yes, give a thumb. Using the reactions, give a thumb. Not typing in the chat box, give a thumb. Good, Deepa, excellent. Again, I need to make sure that my instructions is also clear. Okay, what I want you to do, if you have the Facebook, give a thumb reactions, not typing yes. Good. Now, let's do something with Facebook. Okay, use your mobile phone. Okay, prepare your mobile phone. Okay, take selfie with the background of the Zoom meeting. One more time, take selfie, okay, with a background of the Zoom meeting. Okay, because I want to get to know you guys. I want to know where, what's your name and where you're from. Okay, now use your mobile phone. Okay, and take selfie. And after that, I want you to I'm going to share the link in the chat room, and you're going to go to my Facebook account. Okay, upload the picture, your picture. Okay, upload your picture there and write, okay, my name is blah, 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 and I'm from Riau, I'm from Nias, and so on. Okay, one more time, capture yourself, do selfie with the Zoom meeting background. And then I give you a link, which is my Facebook account. I already capture myself there and make a status, and then you need to answer it there. Okay, upload the picture and then type your name and also where you're from. Okay, wait, Merliana, unmute yourself, please. Merliana Susanti. Merliana Susanti, can you unmute yourself?
All right, yes, I do.
Okay, so Merliana, what do you need to do?
Sorry, pardon?
What do you need to do?
I need to take my selfie, a photo of my
Excellent.
selfie, that's right.
First, yes, first take selfie, and then what after that? What's after that? After you take selfie, what do you need to do?
I have to send it to the link that you have sent to me later. You will send to me later.
Yes, good.
Right.
I'm sending to a chat box now. Okay.
All right.
If you use your mobile phone, don't worry. Okay, no problem. You still have my link, and then you're gonna you can send it later on. Okay. Again, I'm gonna send the link, and I give you 3 minutes to upload and introduce yourself. Okay.
All right. Hopefully, I can do it.
Okay. Check the chat box. I already sent the link. Everybody, click the link and then upload your photos and introduce yourself. What's your name and where are you from?
All right.
Okay. Excellent. I got already someone sending me. Excellent. Rahmi, thank you. Princess Nur Hadijah, thank you. Excellent. Yes. Because the reasons why I ask you to introduce yourself in my Facebook, because that's going to be the second stage. Okay. Remember, the first stage is I need everybody in this meeting room familiar with the features in Zoom because we are using Zoom. Okay. The second stage is basically building a micro online community, because we need our students to work together with the others. We cannot just let ourselves handle all the students. No way. Okay, so what we need to do is we create a micro online community so students know how to connect each other. I'm using Facebook. Yes, I'm using Facebook because, again, I think most students have Facebook. I also use IG, for example, because most students also use IG. But the idea is we need to build a micro online community because we need them to work together later on. They need to be able to contact each other. Okay, so there are 5 steps. I already mentioned 2. So we go to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th now. Okay, don't worry. If you don't know how to upload the photo and so on, don't worry. It's time to learn. Okay, everybody needs time to learn. Okay, keep practicing and keep using it. Okay, are you ready for the 3rd steps? Thumbs up. Are you ready for the next steps? Good, excellent. Yes. Now, we're gonna play again. I love playing, yeah? The name of the game is What's Behind Me? What's the name of the game? Somebody unmute yourself. What's the name of the game? What's Behind Me? Okay. Now, if you know the answers, okay, type in the chat box. If you know what's behind me, type in the chat box. Okay. Now, yes. The first one is, wait, let me change. Okay, what's behind me? Type it in the chat box. What's behind me? McDonald's. Okay, we are hungry, yeah? McDonald's, yes. Banner, okay. Anything else? Adidas logo, okay. What else? A lot of brands. Exactly. Good, Hadiana. Brands. Okay. Logos. Yes, logos and brands. Think about the logos and the brand. Okay. Are they from Indonesia or are they international brand? Virtual background. Yeah. Yes, virtual background. So advertisement, yes. Are they international brand or local brands? Excellent, Wahyu. Nur Citra, international. Yes. So YouTube, Nikon, Google, Amazon, Unilever, all of them are international brands. Right? Okay. I have another picture. Okay. How about this one? Okay. So what's behind me? Building. Yes, Yanu. Can you be more specific? What kind of buildings we have?
Landmarks.
Landmarks. Okay. Can you be specific the name of the landmarks or the building?
Ben.
Yes.
Big Ben.
Big Ben. Okay, good. Excellent. Where is it, Big Ben? Ernawati, where is it? Big Ben. Yep. Tourism object, towers, Paris. Okay. Excellent. Again, is it local or abroad? Is it in Indonesia or is in other countries? Okay, good. Icon of country, yes. Okay, excellent. Good. Yeah. So it's not in Indonesia, right? It's not in Indonesia. Now, I'm going to share you different things. Okay. Let me change it first. Yep. Back to background. Wait, let me. Touch mark. Yep. Now, so I have two pictures. The first one is international brand. Okay. The second one is landmarks in other countries, not Indonesia. Okay. So it should be in a breakout room because again, we don't have the breakout room. So I'm going to just modify it. Okay. Again, type in the chat box. What's the correlation between those two pictures? I have two pictures, international brand and the landmark, international landmarks. What's the correlation between those two pictures? Write on the chat box, please. Okay, so what the correlations? Big Ben from land, okay. Yep. England, England, okay. Wow, okay. So I'm gonna ask one of you to unmute yourself and tell what's your opinion about it. Okay, Fasi Mafaida. Can you unmute yourself and say something about it? You're gonna go around the world, international, famous. Okay, represent something. Brands come from, well-known. Okay, good. Fasi, are you there? Nope. How about Lestari? Okay, yeah. Lestari, can you say something about it? Yes, unmute yourself, Lestari. So what's the correlation between those two pictures? Beside famous, Lestari, can you unmute yourself? I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. Okay, anyone volunteer? Can I have someone to volunteer? It's okay. Okay, no problem. Okay, so basically, the correlation between those two is actually both of them are not from Indonesia, right? So what kind of things that can relate all of them? Language. Okay, so we're going to talk about English as international language and why it's important. Okay, now I have, okay, clear. Yes. Now let's compete each other. If you know the answers, okay, if you know the answers, you just directly type the answers in the chat box. Okay, again, it should be in a group, but again, let's pretend that you are in a group and let's do it. Yeah. So the first one, rearrange these sentences into a paragraph, number 1, 2, and 3. So directly type down which one is the first one, the second one, and the third one. Go. You need to rearrange the jumbled sentences into a paragraph. Okay, so number 1, 2, 3, which one come first? Okay, anyone answer it? Good. Yep. So the correct one is, let's check together whether you have the correct one or not. Okay. Let's check together. So the correct one is in this modern era, there are a lot of people who still can speak English. Actually, there are many benefits of learning English. Here are 2 reasons why it's important. That's the correct arrangement. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Thank you, Smart Irma. Yes, you don't need to use the annotate. Yeah. Okay. Yes. The second one. Let's go to the next one. Okay. The next one is, again, there are 4 sentences. I want you to rearrange them into a paragraph. Which one is the best one? Okay, there are 4 sentences. I want you to rearrange them. Yes, Rina, can you unmute yourself and tell me which one is number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4? Rina Agustina? You can unmute yourself. Okay, Yanu, maybe, can you help? Yanu Wikaryanto? Which one is the first sentence, the second, the third, and the fourth, in your opinion? Okay, wait, let me stop share first. Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Give a thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, I just want to check. Yes. Yes, thank you. Let's start it over. Yeah. We have 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 4, 3, 1, and so on. Let's check the answer.
Yes.
Let's check the answer. And apparently, the best answer is first, English opens new career opportunities, blah, 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 blah. Okay, until you can get the opportunity to work in a global company. And that's the correct arrangement. Okay. The next one. I also have 4 sentences. Arrange them into a good paragraph. I give you time.
Wait. Second.
You probably already know this test suggestion. Setengah.
Because there are a lot of sources.
Kan cukup muat 6 setengah. Kan cukup muat 6 setengah, Bang. Rayo.
Okay. Are you ready for the answers? So the first one, is it number 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Number 3.
Number 3.
Good, excellent. How about the next one?
Number 1.
Number 1.
Number 1. After that?
Number 4.
Number 4.
And the last one is number 2.
Number 2. Yes.
Okay, let's check.
3, 1, 4, 2.
Correct?
Yes. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
The last paragraph.
Enggak, jangan dipakai apa-apa. Ya, air aja yang banyak.
Okay. Arrange the sentences into paragraph without air ya. Gak usah yang banyak airnya.
Habis sudah.
Hey, Already?
Number one.
So number one is
Number
Two,
first
number
one
two,
is
number two, number two.
number two.
Number two, sir. Number two.
Number two. Okay, the next one.
In this
Number one.
number
One.
Or you need many other
and the last
definitely.
is number three.
Excellent.
Two,
Let's check.
1, 3. 2, 1, 3, sir. 2, 1,
Three.
3.
Yes.
2,
Let's
1,
check.
3.
2, 1,
2, 1, 3.
2, 1, 3.
3, sir.
3, 2, 1.
2, 1, 3.
Yes. 3, sir.
1, 3.
All right.
2, 1.
2, 1, and 3. Okay. So,
1 and 3.
what's the title of the reading passage?
The importance of learning English.
Importance of learning English.
This one, yeah?
Importance of learning English.
Good.
The importance of learning English.
Excellent. Okay. How about
Importance of
this one?
learning English.
Tadi kan pegang-pegang ini.
Udah berarti belum rezeki.
Itu kamu nggak bisa menjaga HP.
Okay.
Pinjamin
Mute yourself. Mute yourself. Mute yourself.
Iya, saya lama kok di masjid. Nah kita mikirnya habis dari masjid cuma ke sini, ke bangku gitu. Terus katanya ternyata
Mute yourself.
Importance of learning English.
Okay.
The
Thank you.
importance of learning English.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Yes. So the title is The Importance of Learning English. How many paragraphs are there?
Four.
Excellent.
Four paragraph.
Yes. Good.
Forget paragraph.
What's the function of the first paragraph?
Yang 1000-nya jangan. 2000 aja ini.
Introduction.
Listen, listen, listen. Excellent. Introductions of the paragraph. Good. So we have introductions, we have body, and the last one is? What's the last one? Conclusion. Good. Now, what is important in the introduction? How many reasons did the writer put in the reading text? Two. Exactly. First, second, right? And then the writer also put it here. What do you call this one? Here are two reasons why it's important. What do you call that one? We call it thesis statement. What's the function of thesis statements? Is the main idea of the whole reading passage or reading text. Because here, the thesis statement mentioned, here are two reasons why it's important. What is it? Learning English is important. So we have the first reasons in the body paragraph and the second reasons in the third paragraph. Okay. In the body paragraph, what do you have? We have main ideas and supporting details. Introductory thesis statements, the main idea of the whole reading text. First body paragraph, we have main idea as the main information or as the topic sentence of the paragraph, and the details. What is the main idea? English opens new career opportunities. And then the details, supporting details. Many companies need employees who can communicate, blah, 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 blah. You can get the opportunity to work in global company. Supporting details, supporting why English opens new career opportunities. Second paragraph, the main idea is English test can get you into schools. And then the supporting details talking about how English tests help you go to international school or school in other countries. Okay. How about in the conclusions? What do you have there? You have the restatement of the thesis statement. What is the thesis statement? Here are 2 reasons. How about this one? Oh, the 2 reasons above help us to believe that English is important. Restatement. Okay. What do we call this kind of text? Exposition.
Analytical exposition.
Analytical exposition. Exactly. Okay, because you give reasons why your idea or your belief is the correct one. What is the writer belief? There are 2 reasons why it's important. What are the reasons? English opens new career opportunities and English test can get you into schools. Okay, now I'm going to give you time. Okay, so let me close this one first. So you need to have, again, introductions, body, conclusions, right? Introductions, you must have a thesis statement. Body, you must have main idea and supporting details. Conclusions, you need to have a restatement of thesis statement. Okay. After this, I'm gonna give you a case study. Okay. I'm gonna send a PDF or later on, or maybe I have the pictures. Okay, and then analyze the reading text whether they have intro, body, conclusion, whether they have thesis statement, main ideas, supporting details, and restatement of the thesis statement. Okay, so I'm gonna send to the chat box. Wait, Bu Alif, can you help me to send the PDF to the participants in the chat box?
Yes, I will. Wait. Wait. Gonna share. Yeah, this one. Wait. What's wrong? It's not responding.
It's not responding? No worries, no problem. I have the backup plan. Don't worry. So pictures, let me check. Wait for a minute. I'm gonna need to open it first.
Wait.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay, Bu. Let me share screen first. Can you see the screen?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, sir.
Not yet. Still
Yes.
loading.
Global warming, sir.
Yes, I can.
Sir, global warming. Not yet.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, I'll give you time. Thank you. I'll give you time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Global warming.
Analyze
I can
the
see
reading
it.
text. Analyze the reading text. Can you find the introductions, body, and conclusions? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 First is introduction.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can you Can you identify the thesis statement?
Yes, sir.
In the first paragraph.
Paragraph is on the
First
second.
paragraph, first sentence. Usually.
Paragraph is
the body.
Okay, stop. Stop. Okay, let me finish first. Okay, my turn. Okay, my turn. Everybody mute yourself. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, we have body introductions. Introductions, body, and conclusion. Good. And then the one that I underlined. Okay, just type in the chat box. Is it the thesis statement or not? Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Small. Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
check.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
let's
Yes,
check.
sir.
There are failed crops, economic slowdown, and deforestations. In the text, in the body, later on, 1, 2, 3 need to be addressed. Okay.
Bye.
First, second, and furthermore. Do we have failed crops, economic slowdown, and devastations?
No.
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 We have
Yes.
economy here.
Please repeat the question.
Okay, one more time. Listen.
Pardon me, sir.
The thesis statement is failed crops, economic slowdown, and deforestations are among the several impacts of global warming. Yeah, can everybody mute yourself? Okay. So when we read the thesis statements, my understanding, the body paragraph will talk about failed crops, economic slowdown, and deforestations. Okay, so we have first, second, furthermore, 3, same. But did the writer discuss about failed crops, economic slowdown, and devastations?
Yes.
No.
Failed crops here, economy here, deforestations, not sure.
No.
Second paragraph on the line 2. It's on the second paragraph, line 2.
Yeah, the second paragraph.
You can find
In the third paragraph.
Oh, here, yeah.
Third paragraph.
Okay. Yes, we find deforestations and then economic slowdown and failed crops. But take a look at the flow. First paragraph talking about, I don't know. They're talking about the impact of global warming, failed crops, and then it's difficult to grow Corps, fine, no problem. Economic slowdown. This has started to affect the economic as well. And then suddenly, and here talking about deforestations. How about the first paragraph? The human activities have changed the atmosphere in our Earth since the time. Again, we don't. It's not really clear what the writer wants to say.
The first paragraph is the other impact of global warming.
Exactly. Good. But the thesis statement mentions failed crops, economic slowdown, and deforestations.
Those
Are
among of global warming.
among the several impacts. So there are so many impacts, not only 3 impacts.
Not only those of 3, those are among of the impacts of the global warming.
Good. Yes. Again, when we want to write, and then it needs to be clear,
The
right?
second paragraph is not related to the first. It's
Okay.
not a static.
Good. Exactly.
Yeah.
So again, wait, let me finish. Okay. I already bring you to the 4th steps actually. So I have the first, the second, the third, the 4th, and you are already on the 4th stage. Okay. I'll go there after this. Okay. And the reasons why we already did the 3rd stage and the 4th stage. Okay. Now, let me go back to the screen first. Oops, not this one. Sorry. I need my PPT. So, again, it should be group work because again, we need to promote student-student interactions. I want you to analyze the text, right? And then find the body and so on. And I want you to compare between the first reading passage and the second reading passage. Okay. And then again, what's the difference between the first and the second? I want you guys, or I want the students later on to analyze the text. And later on, this is going to be the last one, but let's go through this one first. So the 5-stage models. Okay, wait.
Put it there.
The 5-stage model, it is from Gilly Salmon, a professor from Australia. Okay, so what's the first stage when we want to have effective online teaching or learning? So the first one is access and motivations. You can have beautiful lesson plans, you can have beautiful materials. If the students don't have access on it, forget it. The students have the access, the students have all the things that they need, but there is no motivations, forget it. So the first thing that we need to do is building the access and motivation. The second one is online socialization. Okay, we need to build micro online community among the classes, among the students, because they need to work together. You cannot expect to work alone because, again, you are handling maybe hundreds of students. So we need to create a collaborative environment where they can help each other. The third steps, or the third stage, information exchange. Okay, knowledge constructions, and the last one is development. Let's break it down one by one. What is access and motivation? Familiarity with the technology. Again, I read during Erica's sessions that most of you prefer to have WhatsApp. Fine. But we need to maximize the use of it. Oh, we have the voice notes. We have the we can change the background, any kind of things. Telegram, they have different bots, quiz bots, and so on. Any platform, any technology that you want to use, the students and the teachers need to be familiar with it. If you want to use a new platform, Padlet, Erica mentions a lot of things. Quizzes, Quizlet, whatever it is. Again, the first step is make the students familiar with the platform, so they can maximize. They can use it maximally. The next one, you need to online community. I also teach classes, and each classes I have each WhatsApp group. And sometimes in a class, I need to create different WhatsApp groups for my students because I want them to work together and I can still monitor them. But by building those kind of things, the students know that they can ask their friends when they don't know something. So the resources of informations and knowledge is not only from the teacher, but also from the students, from the other students. It takes time to build the community, yes. But once you can get the grip on it, it will be easier for you guys to control and guide them. Okay. The third one, exchanging information, remember? Is actually the time when you teach the student. Presenting, checking, practicing. Did I do it? Did I teach you guys? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
I give a modeling of how to give the what do you call the exposition, analytical exposition text and so on, right? I present,
right,
and then I also check, and I give you practice.
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Yes. So that's the third
Absolutely.
stage. I exchange informations. I give the information to the students.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
And then the fourth stage, group work, critical thinking, problem solving, higher order thinking skills.
Higher order
Yes.
thinking.
Hots.
Yes.
Hot.
In the initial plan, I ask you to work in group because I want you to collaborate with others. Did I promote critical thinking?
Yes.
Yes, I asked you to compare. Remember, what's the difference between the first one and the second one? Can you analyze the second reading text? Do they have 1, 2, 3, 4? I asked you to critically think about it, analyze it. I asked you to compare.
Second paragraph.
Okay, so it's not enough just to present, checking, and practice. No, we need to trigger the critical thinking. We need to highlight, we need to elaborate the higher thinking skills for the students. And the last one is creativity and reflections. That goes to productions, assessment. Okay, so by the end of the sessions, students already know the format of the analytical exposition text. Oh, I need to have introductions. Inside the introduction, I need to have a thesis statement. I need to have body paragraphs. Inside the body paragraphs, I need to have main ideas and supporting details. And then I also must have the conclusion, which contain the restatement of the thesis statement. What's next? Let's create something. How? Equip them. Let's do a brainstorming together using one simple text or one simple topic. And then after they finish, reflection. Promoting metacognitive skills or metacognition. Thinking about thinking. Do I do it correctly? Can I do it? Do I do it in the right things? Do I have the correct format? So they are, the students need to be trained to use a metacognitive to ask themselves whether they already know what they need to do to create an analytical exposition text. Okay. So every time we want to teach and we want to create an effective online learning sessions or teaching sessions, and then we need to have those scaffolding. Okay, yes, I make the lesson plan. Oh, I want to use Mentimeters. I want to use Google Classroom. I want to use Moodle. I want to use whatever it is. First thing first, back to basic, familiarize with the technology. Do they know it? The students know how to do it. If they don't know how to do it, give some time to teach them how to use it. You need to crawl, walk, and run at the end. You can ask them directly to run. Okay, students, okay, open your browser, click Mentimeter and so on, and then the students will only say, okay, what should I do? They don't know how to do it. So you need to give some time to check whether they know how to use it. Did I do it? Yes. Remember, Aan says, open your camera. Turn on your camera. Aan says, rename yourself. Aan says, clap, give a clap, and so on. I want to check whether you know the features that we have in Zoom. Do I have the building an online community? The second one, the next one. Did I do it? Yes. I tried to connect to all of you by asking you to introduce yourself to a Facebook. I want to connect to you so I can ask questions. You can ask me questions, so we are connecting. Did I exchanging informations? Absolutely. I give demonstrations how to teach. Did I just give you the materials and ask you to read?
Yes.
Or did I give stages when I teach? Do I have stages when I teach? when I teach the exposition, analytical exposition text, what's the first thing that I did? Remember the game? What's behind me?
Giving the arranged sentences.
Before that one, remember the what's behind me?
Comparing pictures.
Yes, that's right. Pictures, right?
About brands.
Exactly.
Brainstorming.
I try to tap the schemata. I try to tap the schemata, your background knowledge. Okay. And then I try to have engagement to you guys.
Yeah.
By having simple activities. Did I use fancy software? No, I just use the background of the Zooms. If I need to teach using WhatsApp, for example, can I also make stages? Yes, I can share one picture. So what do you see in the picture? And then let them answer it first. Okay, I'm gonna share you the second picture. What do you see in the picture? Let them answer it again. Okay.
Excuse me?
Yes?
2 minutes left.
How many minutes?
2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes. Okay. Okay. But the one that I shared to you can be modified into low-tech synchronous activities. Okay, because again, I put stages on it. Oh, before I do this one, I need to give a foundations. I need to tap the schemata. I need to prepare them. It's not directly. Students, today we're going to talk about analytical exposition text. And then the students say, what's that? What kind of food is that? Is it a food? No. But I do a scaffolding to prepare them. Okay, so let me stop share. Okay, to summarize, because I have only 1 minute maybe. To summarize, when we want to create online learning experience, again, we're talking about learning experience. If the students got wonderful learning experience, then they want to learn again and again. Okay, we need to be able to give such a wonderful, fun, engaging learning experience so that the students will try to follow. Because at the end of the day, we need to build the engagement and the motivations. Remember the 5 steps? The first one is, do you still remember the first one? Anyone? Are you?
Access and motivation.
Access and motivations, good. The second one?
Building an online.
Online socialization. The third one?
Presenting.
Information exchange, which is presenting. Excellent. The fourth one?
Group working, critical thinking.
Yes. Knowledge construction.
Construction.
Yes, knowledge constructions. And the last one?
Knowledge.
Creativity, reflection.
Yes. Or development. They need to develop something.
Development.
Okay. Thank you very much for the time given. I know that it's not enough to have such a short period of time. Should you have any questions, you have my Facebook. You can just jump in, ask questions there. You can DM me Okay, but Bu Afif, I'll give it back to you, Bu Afif.
I'm Bu Alif, Pak.
Oh, sorry, Bu Alif, my bad. I'm sorry, Bu.
Pak Aan, we still have time to have like question and answer session.
Sure.
Maybe we can ask someone who wants to ask, like Pak Zul Surya, you raise hand. Do you want to ask question? You can unmute yourself. I don't think he's using the raise hand.
Surya, raise hands.
Yeah, he's raising hand. I think he's asking question, but not sure. Okay, anyone wants to ask question directly to Pak Aan?
Ibu, can I ask questions?
Yes, please.
Hello, Pak Aan.
Hello,
I'm
hi.
Evelyn. Yeah, I'm Evelyn. Bapak, I think your presentation is really interesting, and yeah, I like it. And I wondered if you can share the tips and trick how to make an interesting presentation like yours. Thank you, Pak.
Okay. Okay. So it's not about the content. Okay. So how to have wait. Can you hear my voice?
Sure, loud and clear.
Clearly.
Yeah. Okay. How to what I usually do when I give teacher training or teacher sharing, I also try to demonstrate. Okay, because as presenter, you need to walk the talk. You need to do it before you share it. If you just share without having no experience doing it, and then you cannot be a storyteller. Presenting is like a storytelling, in my opinion. So if you know everything well, because you have the experience using it or doing it or any kind of thing related to what you present, and then you become a storyteller is much more than a presenter, actually, in my opinion. So if you want to create your presentations, and then of course if it is about teaching, and then you need to share something that you're really familiar with. Okay, and of course we always need to because it's academic, we always need to be based on academic things. That's why the thing that I shared to you is basically from a professor from Australia, and then when I read it, oh, it's interesting, and then I try it. Okay, so when I try it, it's not only just my knowledge, but becomes my skills. So what I share to you is not my knowledge, but the skills that I have. Okay, so I hope it helps you to helps answering your questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Pak.
Welcome.
Pak Yanu Wikaryanto, you want to ask question directly?
Okay, yes. Thank you for the time. Okay, I'm sorry, everybody can listen. Could you listen to me? Could you listen to my voice? Okay. Thank you for your presentation today. This material is for the student in SMA, but now I'm teaching in SMP, where the student, not all of the student can understand of English, especially at my school. When I teach my student in grade 8, when I speak in English, try to speak in English and try to ask for them to understand what I said, at least they have to repeat what I said. But most of them can repeat well. Moreover, when I give the reading stack with the short tag, most of them said it is difficult to understand. But if the student have own or have ability to understand English, they consider that the text is so easy. So when we give a discussion, when I give question, what does the text tell us about? And then what is the main idea of the first or the second paragraph? Most of them don't understand how they say, how can they answer the question if they don't understand the content of the text? So how, and then what should we do to help them in order they can understand uh, and the best techniques to help them understand English, I mean, because
Yeah.
the most of them have most of them just don't have, most of them don't have any ability and low or poor in vocabulary. So it is difficult for us to get the target of the material. How can we give score 8 if they don't understand? Meanwhile, they should have the passing grade 7, for example. Okay, thank you for the suggestion or your help to help them.
Yeah. Thank you for the questions. Yeah. The problem that we have actually, first, of course, the proficiency level of the students, they are not the same. Some of them are good, some of them are okay, most of them are below the standard. Okay. What we need to give to them is maximum or a lot of exposures.
Okay.
Okay. The same thing. Let's think about, for example, when your kids are babies. Okay. Do they speak bahasa Indonesia?
Yeah.
No, but and then it's not it's not hey hi mama, no, right? They don't speak language at all. Okay, but the mothers and the fathers, they keep on repeating the word mama, 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 right? And then the student imitate.
Okay.
When we learn English, when we learn language, the first layers is imitating, not producing first. Imitating. So what we need to give them, we need to give a lot of exposure, so they will be able to imitate. Okay. Our kids nowadays, because they are exposed to YouTube, they are exposed to Nickelodeon or any kind of movies. Okay. They don't need to go to English course. They already know English words because of the exposure. So for lower level proficiency, what we need to do to them is giving them as much exposure as possible.
Oh yeah.
So that's the reasons why when I give training to teachers, I always tell them, don't use Bahasa Indonesia when you teach. Because again, they need exposures. They need examples. Okay, let their brain work and try to figure out the language. Because when you speak in English, okay, their brain is actually processing. But when you suddenly change the English to Indonesia, the brain process stops. Okay. You don't need to study. You don't need to go to English course. You don't need to study English in the school. But if you read and you listen the word I am, you never make mistake become I is or I are. Without telling them, hey, after I is am. Never. Because what they listen, what they read is always I am. They never find the word I is or I are. So if they have difficulties, lower down the activities. Make the question simple first. Okay, we need to build the sense of achievement for the students. Don't directly give them hard questions or difficult questions. Okay, because we need to build up the sense of achievement. Hey, I can answer it. I can do it. Okay, give me more. So that's the sense of achievement. Okay, so that's the reasons why you give the lots questions and then to hot questions. Okay, for example, if it is reading, you can ask them to identify the words in the reading text. Okay, first questions, can you find the word sophisticated? Go, game. I only ask them to identify the word sophisticated. But it's enough to build the sense of achievement. And subconsciously, I already trained them to do scanning or locating information. So you need to choose your questions, Pak. Okay.
Yeah.
You need to give simple, easy questions first, and then gradually goes to more difficult one. Okay, it takes time to build.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pak Yanu, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's good. Thank you, Mas.
Okay, I think we still have time. Ibu Eka Yulisma, you want to ask question? Pak Yanu, maybe
Yes.
you can mute yourself first.
Excuse me?
Pak Yanu, mute yourself.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Can I have ask a question, please?
Ibu Eka Yulisma?
Yes, I have. Do you can
Yes, we can hear you, Bu Eka.
Okay. Thank you for the change given to me. Actually, I have the same problem with Mr. Yanu, but the difference is yes. I am a teacher in a village, so they never learn English before. And then in one class, they have a varied level of knowledge, of course. And to handle with them, I try to use the target language as English all the time. And then I see the students from their face, it looks like they are frustrated. When I see them frustrated, so I try to translate it into Bahasa. So I use bilingual language then, Bahasa and also English. So while the material, I'm a teacher in senior high school, so the level of knowledge is maybe if we are comparing CEFR level, it is in B1 maybe for the senior high school, but in my school, no, maybe they are very basically they still like teaching in elementary maybe. So I must try hard to teach them by using target language, even a simple thing like thank you, and then a simple thing in conversations. So do you have any tips that, maybe teaching language is needed repetition, right?
Yep.
But, it's very difficult one. I myself, sometimes I get frustrated. Oh, how can I do with my student like this? So can you give me the tips or trick how to teach them and motivate them? I use a game too sometimes in my class, and they don't focus with the material. They are just playing the game. So
Okay.
that's it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's it. I need the tips how to motivate them and how to not to get the frustrated when I use the target language in my class. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, it's gonna be like common problems in our countries, yeah. Because again, the setting in our countries is English for foreign language. It's not even second language. Okay, but I've got experience. For example, I used to teach a class in an international class. Okay, so my students were from two of them were from Japan, and then one from French, one from Venezuela, and then three from Saudi Arabia, and one from Indonesia. And I had to teach elementary level. They are elementary. So you can imagine if they don't understand, they're gonna talk with different languages.
Yeah, it's crowded.
Okay, and I stopped. I asked them to. I forced them to use English all the time because, again, I don't know their language. It's impossible to do it. Okay. So what I did, I prepared a lot of pictures, realia, those kind of things to deliver the message. So, for example, you learn about vocabulary, new vocabulary, and then if you can find the pictures, show it to them, and then suddenly they will talk in Arabic. Oh, that's blah blah. It's actually the meaning of the word in Arabic. And then I say, no, listen, pencil, because they don't know the word pencil. Arabic mention pencil with different kind of things, French different things. But I like it or not, when you teach lower level students, you need to be ready with different kind of teaching aids to help you to address the meaning. Okay. Last year I went to Kalimantan. Inside, it's a remote area, remote village in Kalimantan, and I had to teach Dayak students. They didn't speak Indonesians at all. They only speak Dayak, and I couldn't understand at all. But I need to teach English. Okay, so what I had to do at the time, I repeat even only good morning, hi, how are you? Good morning, hi, how are you? Good morning, hi. I repeated several times again and again and again until they know morning means pagi. How are you? Okay, I became two different people. Hi, how are you? Hi, I'm Aan. How about you? What's your name? I tried to give examples again and again. So, and I let them to think, what's the meaning of this guy, this gondrong guy, talking in front of me in alien language? But after 30 minutes, and they already know, okay, hi, my name's Aan. What's your name? And then they can answer it. Hi, my name's Aan. What's your name? I repeat it again and again and again for all students. So I give them modeling of the language, not only once, but several times, or even more than they need. So they got it here. Oh yeah, if I want to greet, I have to say good morning, hi, how are you, and so on. That's the first trick. The second trick, when I have my class and they are in elementary levels, I always put useful expressions, new vocabulary on the wall. So every time they enter the class, they can see different word on the wall. Again, to expose them with the language itself. Okay, because I understand that I don't have enough time because I only meet twice a week, 1.5 hours per meeting. It's not enough. So I need to maximize what I have. At the time, what I have is classes, right? Books, materials, and so on. So I put pictures on the wall and then the word and any kind of things. And I put it there so students can understand it. During the Zoom meeting, again, I use the background, the virtual background, and I put different pictures behind me. And then in the beginning of the class, okay, what's behind me? If they don't know, means that's a teaching moment because they don't know the word. But I save my time, okay, to introduce something. Okay, because I already put it there on my back, on my as a background. I also use rename, for example. So I suddenly changed my name into a thing. Okay, and let them guess about it. For example, there are so many ways that you can do, as long as, again, remember the first layer: access and motivation. As long as you can build the motivations, they will follow what you want them to do. Okay, engagement is very important. Yeah, so try to build the engagements. I always try to make myself available to my students. If they need, guys, I know it's difficult, it's challenging, but if you have any questions, ask me. If you have any questions, let me know. I open myself to my students because, again, they need my help. It's actually not only they need my help, but I also need their help to be more active. Otherwise, I've got problem during the whole academic year. Okay, so I need to make myself available for them. So that's why the second layer, build online community, because I want to build a micro community among the students and let them learn not only from the teacher, but also from the students, from other students. Some of them, they might already know things. Okay, so if somebody asks me questions, I just put it in a group. Anybody, can you help me? What's the meaning of these sentences? Or what's the meaning of the word? Anyone knows about this concept? Maybe some of them already know. They can help us to communicate. And again, we train them to improve their collaborative skills. Okay? Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pugu. I think we are running out of time right now.
Yes.
Okay, now let's wrap up. Let's make summary on what we have today. I think everyone here is teacher. Okay, and teachers. I think the teachers here are motivating themselves to study a lot. Okay, and I hope what they learn from this workshop can be applied in their classroom. And I think they should. There are some points that they need to apply in the classroom. Okay, the first one, maybe you should know the students' level to teach them and to assess them, just like what Erica mentioned. And as teacher, you should be creative and motivate yourself to give like enough exposure, yeah, to the target language. Okay. I think that's all that to wrap up our meeting today. And I would like to return it to the mic to the MC. Thank you, Mr. Pugu and Erica.
Welcome, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Alif, for the opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our session, and that's all for today on our workshop entitled Workshop for Teacher, Effective English Online Learning and Assessment. And on behalf of the committee, I would like to say thank you very much for the distinguished speakers, Erika Balas and Mr. Pugu. Also, I would like to announce for the participants or fellow teachers that you may submit your identity or data toward this link that already been shared on the chat rooms. And also the deadline, the access of the link will be closed at 7 p.m. Western Indonesian time. So make sure you don't miss it. In the end, really appreciate for your attention and to all the participants that joined our workshop today. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Committee. Pak Pugu.
Thank you.
Thank
Pak Pugu,
you.
thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr.
Teacher,
Manu.
yes.
Bye
Bu
bye.
Isi,
Bye.
Bu Isi, are you still there?
Matur nuwun, matur nuwun.
Thank you, Bapak Ibu,
Terima kasih.
for joining this
Thank you,
session.
Thank you. Bye. Arigato gozaimasu. Arigato gozaimasu. Kalian gimana, Bu?
Bapak Ibu, you can,
Everybody,
apa ya itu ya? You can type the
thank you
link
for
on the
joining
bit.ly
shop.
for having the
Complete the
certificate. So the
attendance from
certificate will
before
be
and
automatically
to
sent
get
to your
a
email.
certificate. Only those who
Thank
complete
you.
the form before